All right, we're live on Facebook and YouTube. Welcome, everybody. We're going to bring up Santiago Rafael here in just a minute. I'm going to play the intro, allow people time to come in so we can share through the network as well. There we go. How's it going, everybody? We've got a brother that was on last year, I believe, Santiago Rafael. He's joining us today. Let me pull him up and let's get the show started. It's our second show. We're going to have three today. Franco Di Nicolo is going to be up in 2 hours. That ought to be interesting, as well as this show. So let's pull up Santiago. All right. Okay. ¿Cómo está usted, mi hermano?
Muy bien, hermano. Gracias. Gracias por invitar. Thank you for inviting.
Thank you for coming in today and sharing space with us and honoring us with your presence. It's been what? It's been a while. It's been a year since we talked, I think, hasn't it?
Yes, yes. I was reminding of last time, and I'm happy to be invited again.
Yeah.
And thank you to you, Todd, and the Soulology team.
Yeah, thank you. You're very welcome, and thank you for coming. I forget where you're at. Are you in South America? Is that where you're at? Or are you in Europe?
Yes, in Argentina, in Cordoba.
Oh, Argentina. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's a twist. So you've been there, what? You've been there quite some time. I mean, 2020 has been an absolute roller coaster, hasn't it? It's been an amazing proposition put before all of us. A unified field taking a physical reality, where everybody's kind of being put into the same energetic space of solitude, isolation, self-examination, and possibly even having to cohabitate with people that we've been cohabitating with that we never have had a discussion with. I've seen a lot of people making remarks like that, actually getting to know each other. How's it been going for you in 2020?
Yes, you said it. The roller coaster feeling is resonating, and yes, these family talks, and like I am living where I lived most of my life, and with my family, and some conversations, as I have been hearing with others, start boiling your blood. So it's like, that's the real work, They say, I heard some once that if you think you're enlightened, go spend a weekend with your family.
Yeah, that's Ram Dass. That's one of Ram Dass's many great quotes. Yeah, if you think you're awakened, go spend some time with your family, right? Which, yeah, to your point, I mean, it's like a magnification of what we've been doing for a few years. We get to a higher state of awareness, and then we find out, oh, I didn't know those shadows even existed or went that deep. Because we were able to see things from a higher vantage point. Yeah, it's been. So what's the climate been like in, the climate, the energetic climate been like in Argentina? Wait, there you go.
Yes. Well, it's interesting because Argentinians are very passionate. You know, we are like usually on the street making strikes, and like we have like this. We
Like
stand up.
talking
Things,
with your
you know?
hands.
Yes. Like,
I can understand. I can understand. I've got plenty of Latino blood in me.
so that has been an interesting dynamic of how suddenly people want to manifest or express, but we have these restrictions. So it's like this kind of internal pressure, and the conflict starts being against one on the other. Like I believe that we have many fighting energies. It's nice because these talks have to happen. This expression makes us improve in our ways of communication, and this keeps us awake. What's happening is like, wait, why this is happening? They told us that today we were out of the quarantine, and suddenly not. So you're telling me that this, this social conversation is fun to see and interesting to learn from.
Yeah, true. And I think, what's coming out of it is, you're right. There has been well, I guess that's what duality is, polarity, duality. So much of our journey has been about this side or that side, or I'm this, so I'm not that, or they do this and I'm not like that, or I see the light and I know this, but they don't get it. So it's all two-sided, duality, polarity. But what I'm seeing is the people in social media just saying, this is what I'm experiencing. I'm not here to prove anyone right or wrong. I'm here to share my experience, because there seems to be a tremendous amount of code available when we just convey our experience to our brothers and sisters and say, this, I don't know anything, but this is what's happening to me. This is what I'm feeling, Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of,
I think that's the point of most truth, like our personal experience. Otherwise, we are just passing on mental chatter. So it's like, true. I think that everybody talking from their own experience is the point of more power that we can have.
Yeah. And it's not a debate, it's not a debate. And I'm pulled into it, I admit it. I see people, and I'm not judging. I'm just saying this is what I'm observing, and this is what it's affecting me. So I have to go work on me. If I see people giving way to the fear-based programming that is, in this case, called coronavirus, it could be many other things, and they're all out there, all these programs of fear-based programming. Or if I see people giving too much of their power over to the QAnon movement and saying, okay, this is going to happen and everyone's going to be arrested and I'm going to be right, it's not about right, it's just about, we're all in virgin territory here. We're all creating the new template and the new blueprint. This is what we signed up to do, not just to experience it, but actually to invoke all of this multidimensionality, all this sacred wisdom, embody it into our human experience. It doesn't come with a set of directions that goes, okay, well, go do this and go do that and go do this. It actually says, here's all the information. You're the one experiencing it. Now go figure it out. So,
that's a more empowering position. I am up for that empowering position of, hey, I am a co-participant of this. I am a co-creator of this experience, and I assume personal responsibility and personal power. I recognize my personal powers and incidents on this. So, for example, today, the portal that is about being the portal, today is like, by the way, it's the second 444 portal.
Yeah, I just heard that. I just realized that on the last show when the guest mentioned it. Yeah.
Yeah. So when Morgan invited me was because of the preparations for the first seed portal, and just to bring it up. This first portal was about a resistance, like, okay, like the word meditation that was made was against this, against the domination that is
Mhm.
happening, against, and we have been on these topics and these dynamics of resistance, persistence, and this time is about the what we are letting through, what we are allowing to come through us, and how we are co-creating this, how we are intervening in this by being a constant broadcaster of this co-created reality. So that's, I'm up for it, on personal empowerment and recognition that we have a strong
Yeah.
incidence on this.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause I think we get caught up, and rightfully so. I mean, it's understandable. I mean, we're talking about many lives. We're talking about thousands and thousands of years, regardless of what anyone's thoughts are on what they call reincarnation. We're carrying all this stuff in our DNA, in our cellular, in our muscular system, our skeletal system, everything. And this is what we've been aligning, and integrating and transforming all these years. But yeah, I get what you're saying. It's like, we've spent so much time, we've been conditioned to spend so much time to go out and look for what we're being presented. The world is this way, the clock ticks this way, the dates roll this way. And of course, the fear-based programming behind it and control behind it. But there's another side to it, and the other side is, look what we've come through. We've beat chemtrails, GMOs, fluoride, uh, programming, all sorts, all nature. But there's something different happening now that I think allows us to look to the other side of the spectrum, and the strengths and the power and the courage and the love and the open-mindedness of creation itself that lives in all of us. We don't have to be focused on that side of the polarity. We can also look at the strengths that we have all obtained and evolved to. That is really what this is all about. I mean, it's really about coming into our own. And the difference, I think, now that's more apparent than any other time, especially this year, has been, you can see and feel and taste and hear the universal energies are supporting us in so many ways, as people report synchronicities just going through the roof this year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, a great awakening to new truths, internal truths, and this makes me remember the the chapter I did, a biographical chapter that says about this truth that we awaken to, uh, that is the truth of our ego. The first, the carcass, the Maya, the personal Maya that we have and go through, to see a expanded truth that starts interconnecting, and we start realizing what we are creating with the emanation of our truth. That is
Yeah.
another quality of truth. Is in the Greeks have qualities, or levels of truths.
Mhm.
So the quote that was mistranslated, that I put is, "You will know the truth of your ego, and the truth you emanate will set you free."
Mm.
And then we have this self-perception of, oh wait, there's a truth that I perceive, and there's a truth that I am emanating that is helping to create the veritas, that is the truth that interconnects us all. So I love this, in this kind of navigation through many perceptions, many matrix vibrations or syntonies that we can have, understanding that we can tune into different degrees of truth, and we can, all of them are valid and
Yeah.
useful.
Yeah. That's true. That's absolutely true. Well, because what's happening now more than ever, we were talking about this in the last show, you're out there doing the work, And and the work always starts with yourself, of course, and that's one of the great gifts that we're all learning. This is how we're becoming more empowered, is we're taking everything into ourselves and not uh, externalizing anything. But the crazy thing is so you have a really great day, and then you have all this information come in and this alignment, and maybe your body feels it. You have a kundalini energy moving through your body or whatever happens, and then you wake up the next day and it doesn't even matter. You're like you're in a totally different dimension now, and all that stuff that you received was simply the initiation to get to the new dimension. But all that information doesn't apply to the new dimension because there's a whole new set of truth, like you said. Yeah.
Yes, well, exactly. In initiatic cultures, now that you brought the word initiation, a new initiation, that's by itself, it means initiation, beginning. So it's like our capacity of starting over, the capacity of starting over and beginning the new journey. So initiation is that capacity of going into the beginning again and designing and enterprising into the new journey as a new way of being that we have evolved so far. So recently, like 3 days ago, I was like, I forgot many of the things that I knew, and you start like in this kind of loss of hope. I was like, I remember when I was depressed, and I had this sensation, when you're taken over by this, and then a friend brought this light that was contagious to me. We had a talk that ignited me again, and he brought this wisdom that he had been reminding me of, and he reminded me that we forget that we forget.
Mm-hmm.
The amnemesis, the famous amnemesis, amnesia, and the worst enemy we can have, that we forget that we forget. Yeah. And that was beautiful to remember. It's like, I just forgot.
That's right. We get caught up in it. I kind of went through the same thing, and it was 2 or 3 days ago, and it was like, and it wasn't like I want to die, I accept that, it wasn't even about that kind of conversation. It was like kind of what you said. It was like the old depression, the old point where you get like exhausted and go, okay, what's the point, And then what came to me was, it was like, okay, wait a minute, something like what you said, like, wait a minute, this is not real. But it is important from an energetic standpoint, because of the thoughts and the words and the actions that we take are creating something, so it's kind of weird. But the other thing I got too was like, there is a point to what you're doing. Now, this is just my universe speaking to me, and I said, okay, well, what is it? And I said, well, what do you want to give the world? Why do you do what you do? Okay. Do you do it because you feel like you're supposed to do it? Do you feel like it because the universe told you you need to go do this? Or do you do it because it makes you happy? No, I'm not doing it for you, and I'm not doing it for anyone else. I'm doing it because this is what I want to give the world. This is what I feel like I can give the world. And say it's just me broadcasting, talking to people. For other people, it's other things. And I think this is one of the real key ingredients to us manifesting the higher dimension we call 5D in the physicality, is to actually do what resonates with us in every moment. And a big part of that is our contribution to the collective on an individual basis.
Mm-hmm. Yes, totally agree. In my case, that experience, I got back on that track of, that purposeful fulfillment, and knowing that we are alive for some higher reason, like that remembrance of the higher reason got me when I was doing Akashic openings these days. Was like, it's not that I'm just putting a message for thousands. It's like one deep opening was like the to dive deep into the world is better, like I knew that this opening, this healing, this empowering was making the world a better place. And it was just one person that
Yeah.
had a certain spectrum of influence. I was like, that my day and got me back on track. So
Yeah.
I know what you makes you fulfill and following that path.
Yeah. And there's a lot to be said for the way this, so there's, because how many things do we have amongst the 8 billion people that we can say everybody's going through it, or everybody's has to go through it, every initiation, whatever the case may be, but we try to put it on human terms. And what is it? One of the things I think too that's coming to the forefront is that these internal, individual, seemingly individualistic experiences that we have, which may be I downloaded this, or I channeled this, or I was given this message, or I was told to do this, and I know I need to do it. And kind of dealing with the don't do that, you're crazy, and dealing with those two voices, but working it out and aligning it and then putting it out. Yeah, was that meant for me first and foremost, or you if it was you? Yes, but there is some truth, there's some code in when we share it or express it, that other people pick up on. It's to me unstoppable now. It's become too big, that no matter what the world looks like, what threat it might make, or what narrative is out there to scare us, this has gotten too big. There's no turning back now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, and this brought me to mind the phrase that my initiatic cultures mentor told me, because Luis Paris is a great teacher of mine, and he talks like in this chaos that we may feel, we think that the contrary of chaos is order. Like we all usually listen this dialectic of chaos and order, and he explains the chaos is a previous step
Yeah.
of creation. So to get out of chaos, we don't need to order that because we're inside the chaos. So it's like it's trying to find an axis while we are in the storm. So it's like creating, and that's why I love the philosophy of the Toltecs of artist of life. Even now that we are creating something, whenever we are troubled by the world, just creating something helps us to order ourselves, and that was very healing for me. And I think that, as you told, you were sometimes with depression and this sadness, and this way of communicating and creating these audiovisual portals is a way of creating and bringing order to our world and universe.
That's true. That's very true. I see that chaos as being like the abyss, the womb, the womb of the holy darkness, the holy mother. It's like the womb. It's like you got to go into that cave, and so much of the chaos, I think, is because of this duality realm, has to do with the unknown. Like, what if I do that? What's going to happen? Or what if I do that? What are people going to think? You know, but I believe what you're saying 100%, and I've heard it for a few years in my own communion with the universe, which is okay. Like, I would look at him and go, "What the hell's going on here?" Like, help me out. And I would hear, "Whatever you do, don't do anything that's been done." And two, create your way out. Because I remember being on the road, single, trying to connect with Morgan and trying to make that happen. But how do you do that when you don't have a job, you don't have a car, you don't have a home? All you have is a suitcase, and you have this platform that you're broadcasting one way or the other. And so I would just go into this mode of, I'm going to do something. I'm going to create something. And sometimes it looked like total bat shift. It looked like nothing. It looked like a vomit, but energetically, the force of that intention and that free will trying to align with universal will and create something on behalf of myself and for the collective. And I'm just talking about myself, but I know that this energy is out there with all of us. It's nothing special to me, but something would always occur. Something good would come from it. Something, a reward, you know, there would be a reciprocation from the universe and say, here's another piece of gold to prove that you're not crazy and you are on the right track.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, I love that idea of the knowing that it will be reciprocated. This pronoia concept, I love.
Mm.
Instead of having the paranoia of the world is a dangerous space and not trust, not risk, it's like pronoia, you know, like doing the leap into the womb and know that you're going to be sustained and nourished back because it's all what is containing us, you know. I like that attitude and letting that divine will go through us. This like being recipient and allowing, you know, like this morning I did the Christ meditation of Steve Noble that he released today about the Pisces and the Aquarian Christ transition. And when I was channeling the Aquarian Christ, it came in as a woman, as a feminine figure, the Aquarian Christ. And it was like, okay, this makes sense with all what is being said about the receptiveness and letting flow through us, you know, the Aquarian Christ consciousness.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. I want to go over that. So like, because you said something about receiving. Well, what part of the gender receives? The feminine, right? I mean, the feminine receives. Now we have had a strong patriarchal realm where everything is push, 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 you know, and you know what I mean? Like there's almost, for lack of a better word, giving. Like I'm putting it out there. I'm putting it out there. But there is you know, great wisdom in what you're saying, because we have to let go in that space, in that womb. You know, I remember having a transmission a few weeks ago, and I don't know exactly how it all went down, but there was like a cave opening, and so it was like on top and way up on a mountain, like a really steep mountain, like almost straight up. And so I knew that cave was the womb, was the holy darkness, was creation itself, where you create anew. And so I remember I went into the cave and there was all this wind, like enough wind is going to knock me down, and I could feel my mortality, like, oh my God, I'm going to fall down the mountain. So I'm like hanging on to the edge of it, and the wind's blowing, and I'm looking in the cave, and I can see all of these multidimensional and non-physical beings and stuff. And I just heard, let go, just let go, you know, and just fall into the void, basically. And I think that's what happens with all of this stuff, like you're talking about, like the paranoia or fear, whatever you want to call it, whatever it may be, is not to run from it, just to allow it, because that is the goddess too. That is the God too. There's nothing we're experiencing that's not actually the same energy. It's just that we've done a good job of developing an illusion, and now we can transform that illusion back into our natural nature.
Yeah, that's why I think that our attitude this is not only a perception, our attitude shift towards darkness, unknown, death. You know, like I made a video in the channel that is the fear equation. I loved it. When I learned it and then I upgraded it, I love that fear equals the challenge divided the resources we have, right? So whenever we know something and also we multiply it by our attitude with our character, fear is diminished.
Yeah.
So this attitude towards darkness and courage, you know, that virtue of courage will makes reduce all fears and makes us more powerful against any challenge that is being thrown at us.
Yeah.
I highly recommend. It's like 10-minute video of the fear equation inside the Know Yourself series in channel.
Yeah, it's true. And I think so many people that have come on this show, you know, we're over 1,800 episodes now. Um, so many people tell their story and talk about, well, they talk about the fear, you know, because the fears came to be recognized or addressed in trauma. You know, we all have these stories of trauma, this, you know, from, you know, childhood molestation and rape to, you know, other hardships, sufferings and pain, injustices and illnesses and car wrecks and all kinds of stuff. And what did we do? Ultimately, we faced the fear. And sometimes it took hours and sometimes it's taken years. But what's on the other side of it? And how much more of this loop do we need? You know, and I think not much, because it seems like one thing that is happening this year is people are able to take in whatever comes and integrate it and process it or transform it very quickly. And really that's a good thing, because we're not getting much time in between the different things popping up. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes, yes. In fact, I love that. Also the knowing that pain is a catalyst for our evolution. You know, that's like all the initiative cultures talk about this attitude and the respect and honoring to pain. You know, as a master, also fear as a master.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to bring these visions and transmission that I got on the last 444 portal. That was okay. All the trouble that we're having now was like small. The overview of the virus, whatever, is like it's passing. This will pass.
Yeah.
I was shown the base of this reality creation that they were showing me, like deep, deep, deep. That without what we are trying to solve is like, okay, we are trying to push away suffering and fear and pain. And they show me like, wait, without pain, there's no sense that this world and universe exist.
That's right.
So it's like, if you try to remove this, there's no sense of this timeline and planet creation. So it was like, okay. I'm not saying like let's be sadomasochist or masochist. I'm saying that
No.
there's a difference between suffering and pain, and
Yeah.
our attitude towards how we let pain help us spiritually evolve and catalyze our development instead of suffering, resisting, and all that stuff. That's
Yeah.
a transmission I got recently.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. Yeah. And that's you know, we had an experience. We have a lot of experiences, Morgan and I, but we had an experience. I don't remember the dates. I think it was I want to say it was the 4/4. But I don't know for sure, but I know it's been the last couple of weeks, right? And so when we went to bed and we connected, a huge energy came in, and it was reptilian. And but the atmosphere in the room, you know, the feeling in the room was one of honor and love and respect both ways. So it reminds me of what you're saying in terms of fear, because what's fear? Fear's got many faces. It could be a reptilian, it could be all kinds of different things, right? So there was a message that went along with it, which was basically they were saying, look, this was our role. This is what we had to do. As the love frequency gets raised, our job is over and we can't hang out anymore. It wasn't an easy job, but we did it. This was our part. And from the highest respect and honor and love. And it reminded me, and I think somebody actually said this in a comment, and so I can't remember who it was, but it reminded me of you're on one side, fear's on the other. So on one hand, you can look at it as an opponent or an adversary, right? But if you look at like the martial arts, when they have an exhibition and they're going to have a match, they may not even like each other. If you read The Art of War by Sun Tzu, you know, it's the same type of thing. There is an honor and a love and a respect and a reverence for the opportunity to engage on the road to expansion. And I think that's really what I'm getting from what you're saying and through the experience Morgan and I had, that it's that to see things for what they really are. And now we can look at fear not as, oh my God, I don't want to see that, or I'm going to resist it, or I'm going to avoid it or ignore it, which we know what happens there. But we can actually say, okay, what is this now? What is this showing me? And it's not like we haven't done this. We've been doing this for years and years and years. Call it shadow work or inner work, but it truly is the alignment vehicle and the expansion vehicle for what we're all going through, in my opinion.
Yes, yes. I like, and I had a similar experience. Like I was in Egypt, also doing a connection, and a reptilian appeared, and you know that around this, maybe you know, and that's why we can talk to them, or like the reptilian, draconian, you know, those beings that have been doing the work for a long time are also to be honored and respected, and not to be feared, as most of people happen to have reactions, you know, because even inside of them there are factions, you know. It's like, no, it's like saying like all humans. It's like, wait, there are different kinds of humans, you know, like, so in this moment, just because of emotional intelligence, you know, like that's when we're channeling and going through dimensions, we need this emotional intelligence to talk to certain wise beings that are there, you know. So when I was in Egypt, I got this reptilian that was like teaching me how they were absorbing emotions and processing themselves, because that was what needed to happen in Egypt. And it was like, hey, this is not just to suck emotions from people. This is to help them process what they cannot process by themselves. So we are like giving a service to here.
Yes.
And the same with draconians, you know, like draconians happen to appear, and most people say, oh, these draconians, that they're like, wait, what we need right now is the draconians that realize that how the things work, and they can stand up to have this tuning into the divine. Everybody's kind of playing out the divine plan, but just be more conscious of it, you know.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a good point too, because I could go through something that you're involved with, let's just say, and you know, for the purpose of this discussion, you're on one side, I'm on the other. I see it one way, you see it another. I might see your energy as a certain way, like say vampiric, you know. And you just explained that from your perspective, it's not that way. I'm actually expanding because of the experience and the interaction that we're having. And going back again to what you said earlier about you forgot that you forgot. So, you know what I mean? Because when you think about it, what are we doing? We are embodying and anchoring and actualizing all of our multidimensional aspects, our higher knowing, our higher self, into this human body, physically, mentally, emotionally, magically, alchemically, everything. And when we do that, when we stick with that, and when we can not give our power and our focus away to the vibration of what we experience when we forget that we forgot, then it starts to expand and explode. And I think it's happening now. In fact, I know it's happening now. And again, I feel like it's gotten to a point now. We're past the 100th monkey. We're past the tipping point. we have reached a point now where this is unstoppable. It's going to happen. And on an individual basis, yes, we can choose how we want to go through it. You know, Zen proverb, let go or be dragged. I don't want to be dragged anymore. I want to try to flow with this and surf with this as much as I can. And I realize that I'm better off waking up every morning and not knowing anything, because the whole day is going to give me a whole new experience from a new vantage point, a new state of awareness that I'm going to, every day is like a lifetime.
Mm. Yes, there's a phrase for that: the bliss of not knowing,
Yeah.
or
Yes.
the bliss of ignorance. They say it's like, okay, I prefer to not know. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
What do you
Yes.
what do you what do you think is, just from your perspective? There's no right or wrong, but I'm just saying, because of the history of your experience, because I remember talking to you and what you do and what you've done and the experiences you've had. What do you think's happening right now, from any level, energetic level, however you want to approach that?
Mm. Mhm. Ah, what I felt these days, and what I have been shown, and I took as assertive to me, was revelations. Uh, these realizations of what has been happening, that we needed to make this stop, to go within, to remember what is really important, this call to awareness of, hey, you need to revise what is going on within, how everything interconnects, this
Mm-hmm.
collective remembrance of how everything is interconnected. What uh, what can be uh, restraining my freedom? What's my concept of freedom? What's my will? What's my thoughts? The thoughts of the other. So this unity consciousness being tested.
Yeah.
That's what I see. Like this unity consciousness. Okay, let's ascend to 5 dimension. Let's raise the vibration of the earth to 5 dimension. Okay, let's see if we are capable to uh, let go of all this baggage, the karmic, the memories, the pain, and to test how we have embodied our spiritual virtues. That's what I consider a big revelation, a big test. I don't want to use the word apocalyptical because it's misunderstood, but
Yeah.
in the sense of revelation, that's what I
Yeah.
believe. It's like a revelation
Yeah.
to another truth. Yeah.
Yeah, and that is, yeah, and you're right about using that word is kind of difficult, but the meaning, if you look it up in the dictionary, is unveiling, and that's what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
It's a revelation, it's an epiphany, it's an unveiling. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and I love what you say too, because I think one of the things that we're kind of challenged with, we know this is about sovereignty, and we know that the collective awakening is driven by the individual sovereignty elevations of each soul. Uh, and so it's like you have these 3D constraints and control machinations in place. You've got the quarantine, and you've got this, you can't do that, and you can't do this, and you can't do that. But there's something happening where we can actually make and expand our sovereignty and inject it into the grid from right here. I think where we're challenged is, how do we function though? Because if our actions aren't matching our sovereignty that we've achieved energetically, and this is going to what you were saying a minute ago, like a test, like, can you, I don't know if it's a test or if it's actually, we're making the cake here. We're providing the ingredients for the next level of experience or dimension. I don't know, but how do we match our thoughts, word, and actions? Now, the thoughts I can see. The words I can see, but the actions I think is where we're being challenged. How do we align that with our personal sovereignty that we energetically are aligning with more and more every day? How do we do that? You know,
Mm,
do we do it?
awesome
You know what I'm saying?
question.
I mean, how can we do that if we're complying with something that hurts our soul? And then on the other end, how can we do that if we're rebelling? Because if we're rebelling, then we're saying, oh, you're not right and we're better than you, or something like that. So it is in the middle. So, Morgan downloaded earlier this month that she felt very likely that the purpose, or what was up this month, was to integrate the polarities of compliance or conformity that hurt our soul with rebelling, like protesting or boycotting or marching, and finding the middle ground there. Because that's, after all, what we're doing. I think if you look at any school of thought, is that we're integrating all polarities in this experience that we're all sharing.
Well, that's a great question, and I believe that all for that alignment has to have awareness first. Like the common connector between the thoughts, words, and actions is the awareness. That's what we train in initiatic cultures, or they call the warrior awareness. It's like, okay, I have to catch my integrity if everything's aligned, and that's a master itself that we are like being trained towards. So what I mainly work these days was on observing what can get us off track. And
Yes.
first, there's like the challenge of the personal Maya, the ego dynamics that we can get trapped into. This being the savior, trying to rescue people, being the victim, oh, the pathetism of this is happening to me, or the judge. It's like the opinions on things. And if we are like catching ourselves, having the awareness that we're catching ourselves in any of these roles, okay, first getting out of that to be able to align with this clarity, and keep the higher perspective to not be ruled by something that takes away our actions or possibilities.
Yeah.
And on the other side, the 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 sovereignty that you were saying, and our power to do the personal power, it's I like to put it in, okay, what can be taking my personal power that is diluting my actions, or the connection between the actions, words, and thoughts. And I like to think of crazy, technocracy, democracy, meritocracy, and I've been downloading the Apocalypse Riders. That if we get caught in the Apocalypse Riders, that is technocracy, science, it's like impersonal knowledge would be, I don't know. So that belief that I don't know takes away your power. So I have to do the ones that technically know, the scientists, the doctors that tell me.
Yeah.
Then the economy, that is the who deserves what's your worth. That's the you don't have. So now that's another apocalypse we are overcoming for having our personal sovereignty and power of action. The politics, that they are telling what you can and what you cannot do by law enforcement, and the religion, that is what you should or shouldn't do. So those are interventions that are nice to have awareness to not deviate our personal power and being able to bring it to action. So I mainly focus on this, like playing well through the challenge, navigating well to not stepping on any of these stones that may take away that power of action. Yeah.
I really like that analogy. I like that, because I think if I get it right, or if I don't, this is how I saw it. Like the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. And I don't know. I know they have names, but the fact that almost like the Kali goddess energy, Like,
Mhm.
like if you read Revelations or other sacred texts and they talk about these times, you've got these four horsemen. They're gruesome and they're scary and they're here to do what they're going to do. But it's like the Kali goddess energy. Like it's ferocious. It is scary, but it's here out of pure love, and it's here to get in your face until you face things. That's kind of what I was picturing as you were talking about it. That's a really cool analogy.
Yes, I love it. Yeah.
Mm. I don't know. I watched a couple of your videos. I know I watched some last year, and I think I caught one a couple of days ago. A short one. I think it was an older one though, because I was searching for some of your stuff. Do you do any type of actively, like any type of light language or blessings or activations, or is there anything that you want to do while we're here with our brothers and sisters?
Well, just yesterday I uploaded the Arturian meditation for writing the spell wave,
Mm.
and I believe that that's useful now to bring, since as we are all working in this collective consciousness, in this collective co-creation and driving of the mothership Gaia, I believe that doing that awareness connection would be nice. And yes, light language. Usually I use audios for the light language. I do Pleiadian things, and active conscious. We can do this Arturian connection.
Oh, cool. Whatever you'd like to do, whatever you feel, whatever resonates with you.
Okay.
Very much appreciate it.
So something to start with can be acknowledging ourselves, our body, bringing our
Oh, he froze. Was it me that froze or was it him? Oh, it's me. Somebody help me. Oh no, it's him. Okay, so he froze. Okay, I got you. Okay, thank you, Tashi. Hopefully he'll come back in. And but isn't that interesting? I've noticed we had 3 posts. Let me see if he's back. Hang on. We had 3 posts I put up that got taken down due to what they call truth checkers, and I don't even know what they were. And then, how these weird things happen when we get to a level of a higher frequency, whether it's about what we're discussing or somebody's going to pull something in or based on their connection. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's actually a good thing. I think it's a testament to the fact that we are increasing frequencies. Well, I'm sitting here looking at, we'll give him a second and see if he's going to make it back. Let's see what, okay. So we're going to wait just a second and see if he comes back. And if he doesn't, that's okay. We are going to have a show with Franco Di Nicola in about 1 hour and 5 minutes. This ought to be very interesting. We got Jason Estes tomorrow, which also ought to be very interesting. They both have very good intel in terms of like forecasting. I also want to say thank you, everybody, for your continued love and support and contributions that allow us to keep doing this every day. Oh, he's back. Here we go. Okay. Hang on. You good? You good?
yeah, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
it's okay. You just raised the frequency and went right off the charts. We all had to come and meet you here now. Okay, go ahead, continue. As soon as you put your hands together, it stopped. Go ahead.
Yes, I got into alignment, and then I realized that people are starting to join in the 4-4-4 meditation that I'm about
Okay.
to do. So I think that invitation to the meditation that's going to happen in 5 minutes would
Okay.
be the optimal exercise to invite people to join.
Okay, so could you put that link in the comments on the Facebook, if you could do that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you do that, then I'll put it on the other, because we're on 5 different platforms, and I'll copy and paste it, and I'll put it on the other 4. How's that?
Yes. Here I will share the Zoom ID of the meeting. So the people who want to join on this activity can join on this portal day that I think is very special, and also it's going to be recorded. So remember that we are bending time space. So who wants to join later and join the ride can do it.
Yeah, right on. Sounds good. It's good to see you again, brother. Please put that link in the comments on my Facebook page on this video, and we'll share it around. And thank you for your continued service. I'll see you next time.
Thank you,
All right.
Thank you, Todd. That's it.
All right. Peace out, brother. Take care.
Peace out.